Hey everyone, my name is Reed Carter. I hope you all had a fantastic Thanksgiving. Mine was really nice. A lot of family time, but also pretty chaotic. I have four nephews and a niece, and they're, under 5. So it was wild around here, but we had a good time, and it was nice to have a little break. Although now I feel like I'm in crazy catch-up mode with school and with everything, with Christmas coming. My community chorus is singing with our symphony for a holiday pops thing, and church choir and handbell choir are gearing up for a concert, and my community choir has our own concert separate from the symphony. So it's crazy, but it's crazy for everybody else too. I know it's part of being a musician, I guess. So my paper was going to be on Mozart's Requiem. I wasn't sure exactly where I was going with that, except that it is still relevant and still well loved and well known because of not just Mozart's writing, but the piece, the reason that it was written, the mysterious request for the Requiem, and Mozart's failing health, and Süssmayr finishing it, and all the mythology that kind of goes along with it. After talking to Dr. Macchiarella, it was really like I was trying to convince the reader that Mozart's Requiem is good. And that's kind of, hard to argue, or easy to argue. So I've kind of shifted my focus, and so my working thesis is still a little messy, but it's music becomes more meaningful when we understand the personal and historical circumstances behind its creation. Using Mozart's Requiem as the primary example, I argue that knowledge of a composer's backstory can fundamentally shape both emotional interpretation and performance practice. That's a start. And as I told Dr. Macchiarella, I learned the piece as a freshman in high school and didn't know the history behind it. And I was just immediately in love with the piece and thought it was phenomenal. It's still probably my favorite work. But then once I learned the history of why it was written and how it was written, and Mozart died halfway through, it took on so much more power for me. I literally get goosebumps when I hear it or sing it. So that is kind of the direction I think I'm going to go, that it's not just a great piece of music, but its story and the stories of other compositions are powerful. Another example just off the top of my head is Handel's Messiah, that he wrote in 24, 28 days, something like that. Those kind of inspired type pieces, Beethoven composing when he's completely deaf, that type of thing. Some interesting things I've learned so far. One thing is actually how much Mozart wrote of the Requiem. And I know there's a lot of speculation, but from the Dies Irae through the Hostias, Mozart left all the choral parts, and he left a figured bass, and he left some instructions for what instruments should be where and when they should come in. Another really interesting thing was that scholars have found that his writing got smaller and shakier during the Lacrimosa, which is the movement where he passed away. And so you can, just basically see where he died as his writing is smaller and shakier. Things like that, the kind of myth and story about it are super fascinating to me. But as I mentioned a minute ago, I think one of the really fascinating things to me is how, not a surprise, but how music and the story of the piece can inspire us or motivate us to perform it with more meaning. And I know as a performer, I definitely feel that, and I push my singers, my choral singers, to work towards that, and we talk about why something was written or the story behind it or the meaning of it, and it does change profoundly how the piece is sung and performed. And I think if the audience knows that too, then it changes how they hear it and how it what it can mean to them. I haven't come up with too many challenges or problems. Changing thesis direction is probably the biggest one. There's a lot of myth about Mozart's Requiem, and some of it's true and some of it's not true. And so sorting that out, make sure my sources are good and factual. That's been one big thing. Right. I want to make sure there's musical analysis and not just storytelling. And so trying to figure out that balance has been another challenge, I would say. So I'm just plugging away, working on it like we all are. I look forward to hearing what everyone else is doing and how your research is going. I hope you all have benefited from this class like I have, and I hope your research writing process goes really well. Take care, everybody. Good luck. Bye-bye.